Hey there, everybody. Robert Taylor with Wonderscape Creations, continuing on with another video for the Narrative Pro tutorial series, specifically working in GAS with attributes and setting them up to have primary attributes to control our secondary, tertiary, base, whatever attributes you want to call them. So in the last one, we went over setting these up one by one. As you can see, it can get lengthy because there's only three um, attributes that we're backing, but we have four lines here. And if you wind up having one base attribute like max health being that gains things from 8 different sources, then this modifier should get very long. Luckily, they've thought about that, and Epic created a way to get around that. So what I'm going to do is both of these are the same. So I'm going to delete one of them because I won't need it after this. If I come back and open this up to modifier magnitude, I'm going to change this from attribute based to set to custom calculation base. And right now we don't have any, but we're going to create some now. So we're going to come in here, and within the gameplay effect, I'm going to create another folder called mod mags for modified magnitudes, for short. I'm going to come in here to blueprint, search for mod mag. Here we are, gameplay mod magnitude calculation. I'm going to name it MM from mod magnitude. And we will call this base backing calculation. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because I was playing around with whether I should teach you how to do it the non modular way and then do another episode making it modular, or just provide it to you modular, because I know you'll understand how you can have a one-off versus having one that's modular based off of the modular one. And we're just going to do the modular version. So we'll be able to just make children of this and add a few things to it, and we'll be good to go. And it'll work without having to modify any of the code. So the gameplay mod magnitude calculation works in Blueprint only if you have that asset that I recommended earlier, the gameplay blueprint attributes one. I can't guarantee that it'll work without it. I have not tried before without it. From my understanding, there were a couple lines of code that were needed to make this more accessible and usable in Blueprint, but I could be wrong. So if you're doing it in C++ and now you're trying to continue to follow along, see if this works in Blueprint. If it doesn't, let me know, and at least I know for the future. If it does, fantastic. You don't need to do this in C++. If you have to do it in C++, it's not a big deal. You should be able to read Blueprint and change it into C++ if you are writing in C++. So what we need to do is override a function called calculate base magnitude. Now we are going to need a few things. The first thing, we're going to want a variable that we are going to name gameplay attributes array. I'm going to right click on here to turn it into an array, and I'm going to look for gameplay attributes. Make it visible. That's just out of habit. I don't know if it's actually needed. Then I'm going to create another array called max. No, I'm going to call it curve table array. And from here, we will make this curve table row handle. We're going to leave these empty because we'll expound upon them and its children. Next thing we need are some local variables. First one being source tags, and this will be singular and be a gameplay tag container. And then target tags of the same type. Then we will have another one called result, and it will be a float. And then finally, captured floats array. Make it an array. Now, obviously, you can name these local source tags, local target tags, local result, local captured floats array if you want. I didn't see the reason for it in this particular instance because you're not going to be touching anything outside of this function. So we went ahead and opened that. I'm going to disconnect that and move this down here a bit for later. And the first thing we're going to want to do is we need to get all of the source. We need to get all the tags. So we're going to pull out of here, get a sequence node, because that really helps clean up the code and it makes sure that we have things that only populate in a specific order. We're going to want 4 pins coming out of it. Next, we want to do is search for get spec. For those who don't remember, this arrow with the F means that it's pulling from this from the function's spec variable. We're going to pull out of there, out of the spec, and get source aggregated tags. And source tags, we're going to set that right here. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to get that spec and get target aggregated tags. You'll see why we're doing this in a moment because we need them for the next line of thinking. We're going to set this to the target. So now we have our source tags and our target tags. I'm going to plug that into the 0. I'm going to add a reroute node. So I can do this. And now on to row 1. We need to grab the gameplay attributes array and do a for each loop. Plug that in so that we don't forget. Get a reroute node right there so I don't have to worry about it. And what we need to do now is get captured attribute magnitude. We need to plug this in. Next thing we need to do is get our spec, to plug it into the effect spec, and then get our source tag and our target tags. That's what these are needed for. Now you need to understand this right here will not work unless we have, in the class defaults, the relevant attributes to capture filled in. Now, because this is the parent, is the only reason I haven't done it yet, and I haven't touched on it yet. But I am emphasizing now that this will not work unless we have the relevant attributes to capture. And I'm pointing this out now for those that don't want to have an array or won't have an array in the future. You need to make sure you populate this wherever you are about to utilize, for whichever one you're about to utilize. So now that we've done that, we need to grab the captured floats array. We're going to do add, not add unique, add, because there may be some that are identical. You don't want to have only one that says 1 because then we're going to run into an issue. It's requires us to make sure we have everything in order to make sure that nothing is broken. The next thing we will do is we need to grab our curve table array. And we need a for each loop. That'll be plugged in right there. Now we need our capture floats array. And we're going to type get. We'll do get a copy. I don't think that matters either way. I don't remember which one I grabbed before. So that we have this, because we're going to need it. And we're going to pull out of here and type break. So we're going to need this. Okay. Next thing we want to do is pull out of the curve table and search for evaluate curve table row. Plug that in. And then we plug this into the NXY. Perfect. Sorry, my brain is insisting that I clean this up, so that's what I am doing. Okay. Then we grab our result, get a plus sign, out XY, and out of row found, we will set the result. Then, once everything is completed, we plug this one in and put the result in there. So, what we're doing now that we have it all made, so that you understand, is after we get the tags for the source and the target, because they are required to capture an attribute, is we first get the array attributes that we've chosen. So which attributes are we about to pull, and find them to see how much what the return value is of them, so that we have that return value. The return value is needed to understand where on the table we pull out the power, the backing number. So, as an example, we come over here, vitality is 2. So if we add vitality here, this is going to pull out as a 2 and put it on the first array, which is 0. Now for the curve table, we have to make sure it matches for 0 for what we're looking for. And then it's going to pull it out, and it's going to say, okay, we need to get the curve result for number 2, which if we go to it, over here, grab the curve tables, and we go to max health, so 15. Now we know 15. So it's going to out XY of 15, and we're going to add it to the result, which is currently 0. Because if you didn't know, local variables are cleaned out and cleared when the function is no longer used. So once it's done, everything is zeroed out. And it'll add it together. And if you have a row of a loop of them, if you have a bunch of them, then it'll just keep doing it and keep adding it to the result to then spit it out once we've gone through all of the loops and we're done. We'll compile and save. And now, ladies and gentlemen, after that complexity, we look here, we have the base backing calculation, which we don't want. We want to do this for max health. So, sorry, I'm looking at my notes here. Let me make sure I do this correctly. Yes. All right. So now we're going to come into our content browser, go to our mod mags, right click on this, create child blueprint class, mod mag, and I'm going to name this to max health. I'm going to open it up. And we have these right here. We don't have to do anything else but this stuff right here. So the first thing we need to do is the relevant attributes to capture. There's going to be 2 of them. And we're going to select the vitality and the strength. And this is why we needed the tags, source and target. That way, if you want something to be determined by the target's strength, you can. There's a game called Rift, an MMO, where you could utilize something similar to that, where it would determine when the ability is used how much armor you get based off of how much armor the target has before you reduce their armor. Can't remember what the class was called, but it was a subclass of the mage. But that's the example that I have for you there, of why you would want the target. And then snapshot, I don't fully understand snapshot yet. I have seen it check marked in some places, like in the execution calculations. So we'll definitely utilize them there where we need to. But for this, I haven't seen a reason to have it yet. So now that we have these, we now need to get the gameplay attributes array and the curve tables. So we know we're going to have 2 of them. And we know that they're going to be vitality and strength. Now I realize that I could have just used this instead of that, the gameplay attributes array, but it's fine. We can go through later. I believe if I come here, I pull this out, we do a for each loop. I think I would need to break something here. No, it looks like this is the way we do have to do it. All right, now I don't feel too bad. Compile and save, so we don't have to worry about it. So vitality, strength, vitality, strength. We hit plus here twice. We need the 2 max health. And this one is going to max the vitality. So vitality, vitality, vitality. You seeing what we're doing here? We're keeping everything in order. Compile and save. So if we look at this, based off of what we have here, we have 2 here and 1 here. So we should be adding 15 and 5. So it should still be at 120 after we've connected this mod mag where we need to. So we come back to our gameplay effect, and under calculation class, we choose the 2 max health. Compile and save. Now if we hit play, give it a second. Not entirely sure why it's taking so long this time. There we go. We are still at 120. So we know that the mod mag calculation is working. So I'm going to go ahead and get all of these done now. Off to the side, as you notice, I got all of the curve tables done. But I'm going to get all of these created off screen, and in the next episode we will go over the executions section of this. That way you can understand how that works, so that you can add your own thing like crit chance and whatnot, based off of Narrative Pro's system. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next episode.